In this episode of Short Takes, we're going to tackle a common question that Christians often have about the abortion debate. First, a brief apology that it's been a while since the last Short Take. Life's been busy, and I just haven't had time to get one out. Here's where today's Short Take will take us. What about abortion in the case of rape, incest, or the life of the mother? Now, I've been encountering this question from several Christians over the last several weeks. They're pro-life in principle, but they struggle with answering the inevitable challenge when dealing with someone who's pro-abortion. They're concerned with coming off as cold and uncaring if they don't grant a concession to abortion in these emotionally charged situations. What I'm about to share assumes that you've already listened to the foundational points of this issue in episode 3, titled On the Sanctity of Life. If you haven't, I'd suggest you pause this video, listen to that one first, and then come back. When I'm asked by someone who's generally pro-life, but what about cases of rape and incest? My response is this. The real issue is, what is that thing in the womb? What is it? It's a human being, as we've already made abundantly clear in episode 3. Is it right, moral, and just to kill it just because it came about as a result of rape or incest? Of course not. The unborn child has no guilt stemming from who its father was. We ought to have tremendous sympathy for the woman who's been violated by some brute, but we do her no benefit by sanctioning the murder of the unborn child inside her. Most people assume that bringing such a life to term, then watching the child grow, would be a continual, constant reminder to the mother of the hideous crime committed against her, taking her back maybe to the moment of the trauma itself. But it turns out that isn't the case. Abortion is wrong, and two wrongs do not a right make. And consider this. It's really only in modern times that the practice of paying soldiers a salary has been practiced. Now, yes, some ancient empires like the Romans did as well, but even then, most of a soldier's income came from loot, from booty, from the spoils of war. And one of those was women. Wrong as it was simply understood by the ancients that a conquering army took what they wanted, including their way with the women. The number of pregnancies that resulted from ancient warfare cannot be overstated. How many people alive on planet Earth today would not be here had it not been for some Babylonian, Persian, Greek, Roman, Goth, or Mongolian warrior raping some poor, hapless woman? What discoveries would not have been made by a later generation descendant of that tragic union? What books would not have been written, inventions made, movies produced, symphonies composed? In fact, who's to say the very pro-abortion challenger who raises this exception would even exist to raise it had it not been for some warrior in the Mongolian Golden Horde taking a fancy to some hapless peasant girl in the plains of Central Asia? The issue is categorically not how the child was conceived. The issue is what, in fact, that unborn child is. He or she is a human being worthy of protection with a right to life. Now, incest is usually presented as the Siamese twin to rape in special pleading when debating abortion. But the argument's the same. The real issue isn't the cause of pregnancy, it's the result of it. A human being who ought not be punished for the sins of its parents or parent. It's important to insert a note here to admit that bearing a child to term that comes from a crime like this is inordinately difficult. Such a pregnancy ought to be surrounded with love and affirmation on the part of a caring community that heaps no shame on the victim, but celebrates that something, in fact, good can come from it. A human being. Now, if that sounds tone deaf to some, it's only because the culture of abortion has become accepted, the ethics of death, the standard. Murder ought never be a way to remove a problem. And that's what abortion is, the intentional murder of an unborn child. As for abortion in the case of the life of the mother, well, we're going to deal with that in the next episode. because it shifts the discussion to a different realm, an important ethical consideration as we attempt to live consistently from a biblical worldview. As we close this episode, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get a notification when new videos drop here at Into His Image, and also, please help spread the word. Thanks.